Okay, so now I don't need OBS, huh? At all.
No, nope. This thing will like you can also on your Twitter. Ask
Mm-hmm.
your Twitter on your YouTube channel, and it'll stream it live to your YouTube as well.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so now how would I share the link? Yeah, we are streaming this. This.
I'll keep myself muted obviously, but yeah, like I said, where it says add channel, you can add that later if you want.
Okay.
Add your YouTube.
How do I share the link for people to view?
Oh, you're gonna have to probably go in your Twitter account and do that. I can do that. So like,
Okay. Oh, I got it.
it's not gonna let us do it in.
Mm-hmm. Oh shoot. I don't even know if it's working. It's so scary.
It is. Let me hang up on here and then some of my phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me leave Discord. Okay, I unmuted you. It's working. I can hear you typing. Okay. Sweet. Well, I don't even know if anyone's in chat. That's the question. Probably make sure they can hear us too. Oh man. Okay, they can hear it. Oh, maybe I just start then. And if you wanted to speak, you can too, or no. Oh, this is so confusing. All right. Might as well get started then. Oh, it's so weird because I don't know like if anyone's like even watching.
Hang on.
I hear you now.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
By the time we figure this thing out, people are going to have dinner. Hang on. Why does it say the host muted your... Okay. Never mind. Yeah, I'm not really going to speak because this is not my territory. I don't play with Tetris, so I'll do Orderful Footprint another day, but... But I'll stick around in case like you need... Oh, there it is. They can hear you. You can click on the little chat on the right-hand corner.
All right. Do these get recorded? Actually, there's no point. All right. Well, let me get started. Well, I need to know if chat can even hear me. One person can hear me. Maybe he's the only person watching. All right. Anyway, no, fuck it. We'll just get started.
Oh, hey, quick question, a quick thing. Go to your Discord and just click on the little do not disturb so that you'll get notifications, but it's not gonna, all we're getting is like the pings that are coming through.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay.
Yeah, no, it's
There you go.
just so confusing.
Let's go. Guys, Leiden, I can hear. Yeah, there's a bunch of them they can hear.
Okay. Well, are you doing this on YouTube too?
Yeah, mine's streaming on
God.
YouTube.
Okay. Next week I'll do mine on YouTube too. All right. Well, thoughts for this week. Haven't really taken a look. Oh shoot, I'm on delayed data. I gotta pay for it before the start of this week. It's November 2nd. So we had a lot going on last week. Fed. We also had a couple boatload of earnings. Question for this week. Well, question last week was if we were to break out, what would it look like, right? So we broke out of this multi-week balance. Imbalanced 3 true gaps, 1, 2, 3. Then Fed day, Thursday, Friday. We kind of traded sideways. Structure-wise, like I don't think I really saw anything too worrying up here in terms of something that could like mark off the top. There were, we did make a couple moves back up overnight. Specifically overnight, the opening drive kind of just failed. We kind of failed some levels on the back test of this Wednesday session. So couple possibilities this week. I mean, longer term, I don't think buyers are in any kind of trouble unless we start to see some kind of acceptance back into this multi-week balance. There's quite you're like 500 handles higher on the NQ, and I want to say like 100 on the US, or actually no, not like 80 handles higher, or 80 handles above us on the US. So the focus this week in terms of levels And you guys will. It's gonna this outlook's gonna take a little bit longer only because I haven't changed my levels. I haven't looked at charts this weekend. So, with that idea in mind of this prior balance being down here, obviously these two levels are probably going to be the most important for buyers to hold, at least on a daily and weekly basis time frame. Otherwise, probably going to use these 5 sessions here and their composite profiles, maybe this one included, and use the value that they established here, use these extremes, and then sort of gauge strength. I think that's going to be the main idea this week. So using that, we'll do ES first. So we don't have to change these levels, right? We still have our gap here, which nearly filled on Friday. Reversed a couple handles before we saw that. In terms of last week's profile, 4, 5. So one time framing down. I'm still going to call it a 5-day balance, but we're technically one time framing down. So we got close enough to this gap fill to like where I almost want to say we just closed it and then we're going to get going. Actually, Friday was the end of the last trading day of the month, so maybe that may skew a couple things, and maybe that was the reason why we got the pop back up into basically back to RTH high day, right before flushing a little bit during M period. But anyway, should be rather simple. We have the value area low down there, but most of the volume picks up here at the 68, 80s. So I think we're going to leave that level there. Back over this, and I think longs are back over this, and I think we can rely on this being like a more important low, a more secure low. So we'll see what happens on Monday. Obviously close below it on Friday. So we'll see what we do up against this and then how we establish value up against this. Upper end, I'm not too concerned about. I mean, it's like 10 points away in terms of where most of the volume was traded. In terms of time, sort of lines up with that. And if we use just Friday's profile, this one doesn't make sense if we're simply looking at Friday's profile. This one does. I don't want, not necessarily a poor high, just A and B period there. Right. The only thing that's a little worrying is the ETH session going, Friday's ETH session did traverse back up to the upper end, got a rotation, and then offered from the upper end of this. It was more so on NQ than ES, where they sort of reversed up in these 270s, which was a big level for them. So it made sense in that, you know, we saw that upside target hit, and then obviously buyers had no interest up there, leading to a rotation back down to the lower end. So that's like the only concerning part as a buyer. So yeah, we really just need to be watching this. And then obviously we'll watch what happens once we close this gap. I know the settlements down here, I prefer using true gaps. So basically the session high, session lows when looking at gaps. I know some people like to, just prefer to look at the settlement gap. Levels wise, like, we really don't have to change much. You know, the levels we had going into Friday were pretty decent. And also on the outlook going into Friday, we also mentioned that we closed at the lows on Thursday towards the lower end of the balance. We mentioned that the reason for this gap higher was earnings. Was it Apple and Amazon that reported Thursday night? So we really needed to confirm whether that move was going to hold. And although we got the move, obviously the gap and then the drift higher overnight for about another 100 points, 100 something handles, we failed to sort of establish value at higher prices. Well, this is higher prices, but within last week's range. So this was last week's range, and buyers just needed to kind of hold this 26.060s, and so this was at least the line in the sand that I had for buyers. I mentioned it on Twitter as well, and this is what we did up against it. Right, the opening, we traded up into the 270s overnight, faded a little bit, opened above Thursday's highs, traded down into that, and got a reaction, right? Decent reaction, but failed to hold that. My runners couldn't keep going, and once we lost that, I kind of just called it a day in terms of playing size and stuff, and sort of expected us to traverse back down to at least this, and then possibly down to these like 800s. Didn't quite get that, but so NQ levels really don't need to change, and we can remove some of these, I think. Oh, I forgot about the comments. You're half Japanese but don't like Japanese candlesticks. No. Yeah, if you have any questions, just type them in chat. I'll get to them. So the levels below us don't need to change. The one up here, though, what do we want to watch? Decent bit of volume here at 900. I think it just sticks out because it's just there were one or two buyers down at 900 the last 2 days that were buying in, or we can't assume that they were buying, executing with the pretty big size. Which level do I want to watch for the downside? And this level is getting weaker and weaker, this 900. It's not a place I'd limit long. Might be easier to do this on here. Actually, let me do this first. Chart drawings, number 3. Don't really like this. I prefer this. Yeah, I prefer this over this down here at 900 flat. How many ticks per row do you have your TPO set for NQ? On NQ, I usually, at least for this, well, for the volume profile, I have it at 1. I'm pretty sure. Oh wait, based on TPO, wait, hidden. Yeah, volume profile here, I have it as 1. This volume profile I have as 16, and this TPO I have as 16. Only because the ranges have been kind of big. When we have small ranges like this, I like to adjust it back to like 12 or 8 per tick or per letter that's visible here. And on ES, I have, I believe, 4. Yeah, 4 or 2. Usually 2. It's just prettier on the eyes, like when you're doing stuff like this at 4. Yeah, so I'll watch this 970s. The upper end was what? Yeah, I don't even know if we need this level in like the 130s. Maybe. Right. I think for the most part, I'm going to expect rotational. Well, we already got one rotation back up, right? Failed lower, got the rotation back up. So unless this holds like when we open Sunday or when we open Monday, it looks kind of weak. But as always, I'm gonna expect sideways within this until otherwise, rotational within this until otherwise. And obviously, if we're below this, like, yeah, these levels are kind of might be getting weak now. In which case, this level's not even that strong either. A lot of empty space down here, down 2 here rather. Yeah, so we'll watch this 960. If we can't be above that as buyers, I think let it trickle down a little bit. And if we're not going to be aggressive, we really, like, at this point in the year, like, do you really need to be like aggressive still? I really don't think so. Like these levels down here won't change. I don't need to be limit long down there with size. We can really be patient and wait for a little bit more confirmation. It's, when I say that, typically I'm waiting for either a couple 30-minute periods to go by before I make my decision. I'm usually just waiting for value to establish somewhere, and then, like, work with that MGI, like whether the profile ends up looking like this, with a decent tail, close back up here, value established up here, and we have a couple other levels to work with, right, where we can get in with a little more confidence, a little more size, to hold for some larger moves. But yeah, I mean, just based on where we closed, I would think long. We'll really have to see where we open Monday and then what we do Monday. Right, and ES basically closed up slightly under. The shelf's there, but let me add this. That doesn't really help, but concept-wise, like, if we're looking at a profile, profile's not going to be perfect. You're not always going to get a perfectly balanced bell curve. The idea still is, like, sellers, look, this is your best place to get involved. Buyers, this is your best place to get involved, unless otherwise, or until otherwise, right? So mind you, the levels here, I'm marking off the bell curve, not the chart. So it's tricky when you get something like this where you just get a boatload of volume here. Really, I think the volume here just comes from dealers in their SPX plays. Like, this was like a 10-point range here. I think it was Thursday. or Wednesday where we had a boatload of volume. No, it had to have been Thursday. We had a boatload of volume, 1,000 lots executing. You know, like I believe it was like 85 and then like 95. So likely due to that, but you know, so we'll see if we get any, at least Monday, we'll see if we get any legs away from value. I'm being vague here. You know, I don't want to say like I'll dip by exactly here, like offer exactly here. We'll see if we get any tails that trade remotely outside of value that trade back in, and sort of use these levels, I think, as those places to execute. So we'll see if we just get bid immediately at the open, depending on where, assuming we don't gap up or down. Any questions? Let me open Trading View. I still haven't loaded my Russell chart on here or my YM or any other charts. If there are no questions, we'll just wrap it up. I think we'll keep it a pretty simple outlook. I don't like this. I don't like the stream quality on freaking X. Maybe I should just be using OBS instead. And there is a freaking delay too. Had an almost inside date? Yeah, they did. And we can almost treat it as one. Right, like if we just take Friday and Thursday. And the only issue I see here is you had, right, your value get established here below all of this. Earnings took you back up, right? They made an attempt to hold it. Right, we got the long off of these, those 70s. You know, the runners couldn't keep going, and obviously this failed back into it. Got the traversal. Failed to see the breakdown, right? And traded back into value. Got the rotation back up. Maybe we can attribute this pop to end of month flows, whatever people want to call it. So I guess we can merge these two. Maybe it tells us a different story. I mean, it's really just the same thing. Maybe we can make this a little wider. I don't like having wide zones. Yeah, we can do that. Well, we might not be paying attention to like exactly the high or the low, but I think we take the same approach with. I kind of want to change this upside level. Actually, no, the 130s is fine. Or I don't want to mark off this whole slope where this tapers off and say like, okay, this is where we look for buying. And that would be the idea, right? 100 to 130s. We can start spending some more time up here, or just get above and see the bids come in, absorption there on, and kind of pull back into it. And it looks good for a move away from the value we've established Thursday and Friday. So the idea would be to do moves away from value, get accepted. You wouldn't necessarily, yeah, it's not exactly like the inside day play we look for, but I don't know if I want to buy the 820s. I did on Friday. I didn't quite make it down there. Alrighty. Well, do we wrap it up here? So, well, we have on the daily outlook that you guys will get tonight, we'll have a couple more level. I don't know if I'll even plot them on the chart. Usually on the daily outlook, I have a couple more levels. Typically that come from only the prior session. All right, we're looking at trying to catch a couple more rotations. I mean, you have this and this, but I don't think it's that important. I mean, you got half back there, low volume node there, sort of the gap between Friday's two distributions. I don't think it's too relevant. Just for trading Sunday or Monday, I just know that that's there. I wouldn't really look to execute there. Yeah, there aren't many other levels I would add. Usually I have the more important levels extended all the way to the right side of the chart, at least in my outlook or my daily outlook. Then I'll have the, maybe not the most important levels, but places we could maybe execute to play the bigger picture idea that get cut off. I don't know if I'll have any on NQ. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. The idea is pretty simple. Obviously, executing is the hard part, right? So we'll see how we do this week. Last week was pretty decent, really good actually. Stayed away when longs weren't in play and got in when longs were in play. All right, well, we'll wrap it up here. And there's like a little bit, there's like a 20-second delay, which makes this really annoying. Like when I ask if anyone has any questions, I gotta wait for like freaking 20 seconds. As opposed to doing it on Discord, it's just kind of just instant. All right, well, we'll wrap it up there, and I will catch you all